The story begins 6 years after the first brutal massacre in Fair Lake, West Virginia. As reality show contestant, Kimberly Caldwell is driving along a desolate country road. While she is focused on the competition ahead, a stranger suddenly stumbles into her path, and she slams on the brakes, but cannot avoid hitting him. Shocked and panicked, Kimberly immediately jumps out of her car in order to check if the man is still alive. However, as she leans closer to help him, the stranger viciously bites off her lips, revealing himself to be the deformed cannibal known as Brother. Terrified, Kimberly tries to run for her life, yet before she can escape, Pa suddenly appears from the shadows and brutally cleaves her body in half with a massive axe. Afterward, Brother and Pa drag her lifeless remains into the nearby woods, leaving behind only silence and the echo of her screams. The story then shifts to former Marine Colonel Dale Murphy, who is now hosting a survival reality game show called The Apocalypse. The production is set deep within the dense forests of West Virginia, creating an atmosphere that feels both isolated and dangerous. The contestants are a varied group. Elena is a bold lingerie model who thrives on attention. Jonesy is a carefree skateboarder with a playful attitude. Amber is a disciplined Iraq War veteran who takes the challenge seriously, while Jake is a tough former football player who is determined to prove himself. And lastly, Nina is a gothic girl who prefers to keep her distance and maintain an air of mystery. However, when Kimberly fails to show up for filming, the crew faces an unexpected setback. What the contestants do not realize is that the producer Mara reluctantly agrees to take Kimberly's place in the competition. As the deadly game begins, the danger quickly becomes real when Three Finger ambushes the crew and brutally kills Nail, who is one of the television staff members. At the same time, Colonel Dale is preparing to set up the survival challenges for the contestants. However, before he can finish, Three Finger and another cannibal known as Pa suddenly attack him. Pa strikes with overwhelming force and knocks Dale unconscious. Meanwhile, Nina and Mara stumble upon a log cabin hidden deep in the woods. Hoping to find help, Mara cautiously enters the cabin in search of a working telephone, while Nina reluctantly follows her inside. As they look around the house, they are startled by the sound of the occupants returning. With no other choice, the two women rush into a bedroom and force themselves to hide. From their hiding place, they witness a horrifying sight. A female cannibal called Ma is in the middle of giving birth to a grotesquely deformed baby, while her daughter Sister tends to her. Unfortunately, Sister notices movement and spots Nina and Mara inside the bedroom. The women quickly make a desperate escape through a filthy toilet pit. Covered in grime but still alive, they flee into the forest. Yet their relief is short-lived because Mara is struck in the head with an axe as they run. The cannibals then load Mara's lifeless body into their vehicle and drive away, leaving Nina alone. Determined to survive, Nina sets off to reunite with the other contestants. After Em and Elena finish having sex by the lake, Em decides to return to the trailer. Elena stays behind, enjoying the quiet moment in the water. Suddenly, she hears strange noises coming from the woods, and at the same time the game's alarm begins to sound. Realizing that something is wrong, Elena quickly tries to put her clothes back on. Before she can escape, Sister suddenly bursts out of the bushes and savagely slashes her to death with a machete. Meanwhile, M is inside the trailer. He looks outside and is horrified to see that the vehicle is moving, not because of the crew, but because the cannibals are driving it. Before he can react, Pa storms inside and violently attacks him. After subduing him, Pa abandons the trailer and makes his way back to the cabin. At the same time, Dale regains his strength and manages to free himself. Refusing to give in, he engages Three Finger in a brutal fight for survival. The struggle is short yet intense, and Dale finally gains the upper hand. With one decisive move, he fires his shotgun and blasts Three Finger, seemingly ending the cannibals' rampage. As Jake, Amber, and Jonesy sit down to eat roasted meat by the fire, Nina suddenly returns to the group. She is shaken and immediately begins telling them about the horrors she witnessed inside the cannibals' cabin. While she explains, Jake looks at the food more closely. To his shock, he realizes that the meat they had been eating was actually Kimberly's leg. Horrified by the discovery, Jake quickly urges the others to escape. Together, Jake, Nina, Amber, and Jonesy leave the camp in a desperate attempt to survive. Elsewhere, Dale stumbles upon an old man living in a rundown cabin. Hoping for answers, he listens as the old man explains the origin of the cannibal family. According to him, their grotesque mutations were caused by toxic effluent dumped into the river by a long-abandoned paper mill. However, the old man then reveals a chilling truth. He is the father of the inbred family. Without warning, he attacks Dale, and after a violent struggle, Dale manages to overpower him and uses a stick of dynamite to blow him up. The explosion kills the old man instantly and also destroys the shotgun he had been holding. Meanwhile, the contestants discover that the trailer is missing. With no other choice, they flee deeper into the forest, but their path is blocked when they encounter brother and sister. A vicious fight breaks out, and after struggling against the two mutants, the group manages to fend them off. In the aftermath, Jake splits from the others and searches for Nina. He eventually finds her trapped in a pit, and with great effort, he pulls her out. The two of them then leap into the river below, narrowly escaping their pursuers. After Amber and Jonesy fall into a deadly trap and are brutally killed, Nina and Jake continue on their own. Exhausted but determined, they finally make it to the old paper mill. The massive building looms over them, and its decaying walls hide years of dark secrets. When they step inside, they are shocked to discover a garage filled with vehicles stolen from past victims. Among the wreckage, they recognize the trailer. Hoping to find answers, Jake climbs inside. Inside the trailer, Jake notices a live feed playing on a monitor. To his horror, he watches them being decapitated on the screen. Terrified and desperate, he rushes out and rejoins Nina. The two of them attempt to escape the mill, but their plan fails when Sister and Pa ambush them. Both Jake and Nina are overpowered and captured. It is then revealed that the abandoned paper mill serves as the true home of the mutant family. Jake is strung up like an animal ready for slaughter, while Nina is strapped to a chair at the dining table with barbed wire digging into her skin. The cannibal family gathers around the table for dinner, feasting on human flesh. They cruelly force-feed Nina, making her choke down the grotesque meal as she struggles in horror. Meanwhile, Dale quietly sneaks into the mill compound and uses his skills to create a distraction for the cannibal family. As the mutants scatter through the building in search of him, he prepares his attack. With careful aim, Dale fires an arrow rigged with dynamite and kills both brother and sister in a fiery explosion. After the blast, he quickly frees Nina and Jake from their restraints. Meanwhile, Pa and Ma, enraged over the deaths of their children, corner Dale and brutally kill him in front of the others. Nina manages to escape into the woods, while Jake wanders deeper into the building. Then he stumbles into a massive chamber that contains an enormous industrial tree debarker. Before he can find a way out, Pa and Ma charge after him with murderous intent. At that moment, Nina bravely returns to the mill. She seizes the opportunity and pushes both Pa and Ma into the spinning debarker, shredding them to pieces and ending their reign of terror. With the threat finally over, Nina and Jake discover Kimberly's abandoned car near the mill. They climb inside and drive away, leaving the nightmare behind and heading towards safety. Yet the horror is not completely gone. Down in the river, Three Finger is revealed to be alive. He cradles the newborn mutant baby and feeds it using a severed finger along with a bottle filled with chemical waste.